Hello again. So in this video I'm going to cover the recap and objectives for the subject of Crossroads. Now if you're going to teach Crossroads at this stage, the pupil should have dealt with turning and emerging, and the direct link is going to be from those two subjects into the subject of Crossroads. So the recap needs to relate around turning and emerging, particularly the emerging side of it, because when you're teaching Crossroads, you'll probably find that you're going to be doing more emerging at Crossroads than turning. So don't ignore the turning part of it. It is important, but the emphasis is usually put on emerging, and quite often in the word picture they'll say, I'd like you to teach me about Crossroads, and particularly emerging at Crossroads. So when you do the recap, I would start off with, have you done T-junctions? And they'll say, hopefully yes. I've never known anybody say no, so the answer should be yes. And then from that you can go into a more detailed recap, a bit like we did with the T-junctions recap, recapping the MSPSL in detail. So you could start off by saying, what routine did you use for your T-junctions? They hopefully will say MSPSL, and then you can go through that in detail. Starting off with mirrors, which mirrors would you check? Now, sometimes they'll give you the answer, they might point to the mirrors and might tell you verbally, but it could be that they're telling you in the wrong order, so they might point to the exterior mirror and then the interior mirror. So there you're spotting a fault, you're able to identify that fault, analyse it and correct it. So do look at what they're doing, do listen to the answers and pick up on those clues and take them through to conclusion. So if they've said they're going to check the left mirror and then the interior mirror instead of interior then left, then you would pick them up on that and find out if they knew why they should check the interior mirror first before the left door mirror. So even in the recap, you're dealing with identifying faults and analysing and correcting them. So imagine we've asked about the mirrors, then we can ask about the signal. How do we decide on the timing of the signal? Would we always give a signal? Then the position, where would they position? How do they judge that position? Why should it be in that position? And speed and look. Particularly look at the junction. Where are you going to look as you arrive at the T-junction, and what else would you be looking for apart from traffic? And think about things like pedestrians and cyclists. So anything that is on the marking sheet, particularly things like pedestrians, they're easy things to overlook when you're teaching a junction scenario, but if you've got it written in front of you, you'll remember to talk about pedestrians, and it should be on the briefing anyway. Anything in the recap that you've not covered, then it can be brought into the briefing. But if you've covered it in the recap, then really you've already dealt with that, so you don't need to go over it 2 or 3 times again. So we've done the lefts, then we can do the rights, and we just talk about which mirrors would they check, when they're going to signal, where they're going to position, and where they're going to look at the junction, how are they judging where the giveaway line is, and have they got reference points. So anything that's relevant from T-junctions can be recapped in a bit of detail. It's not really adequate just to say what routine would you use, because it doesn't tell you enough, and you're not given the opportunity then to try and find out faults by asking more effective questions. And also when you're asking effective questions and they're giving you good answers, it gives you a chance to give good positive feedback. So we'll imagine that the pupil's given all decent answers to the questions, and then we're going to link it into the new subject. So you would say again, well, that's really good that you remembered all of those things about your T-junctions, because today you're going to be using all of that in the Crossroads subject that I'm going to teach you. I'll explain it all to you first and show you a diagram so you can see it in theory, and then we're going to practice it. And to begin with, I'll give you plenty of help, but towards the end of the lesson you should be dealing with Crossroads with less help from me. And that's how you could set up your recap objective for Crossroads subject. I hope that's helped. See you next time.